the host of the Gridiron.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you give this video a thumbs up and maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed, thank you. If you want to help support my channel out, description box below, very top link, takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Once again, thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, somewhere in the description box, is another link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Yeah, we popped up to 9,800 members this past week. It's doing simply marvelous, my dad. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I got internet access, I ain't putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, The Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be satisfied. I promise. All right. Well, took a few days, but got a few things to talk about here tonight. Now, one thing I keep saying is keep seeing, of course you see all these articles all the time, but, it would be nice, but, I tell you what, if you want to sell some seats, you want to put some extra butts in the stands and all that stuff and everything, sign him up, right? That would be pretty. That would be pretty cool. Like one guy handing the torch to the other. Like if you ever got it, like where they break the huddle, OBJ's out in the slot on one side, and Malik's out wide, and you get maybe you can take a picture of it or something like that, right? You get the two. Now you can say whatever you want. Yeah, Homer Jones, right back in the 60s, I think he has the all-time NFL record yards per reception, like 22 and a half yards a reception. So when the dude caught the ball, and he was fast still, but he can only run like 3 routes. Fran Tarkenton said he had to teach him to run some routes. He told him to run like 3 routes or so. As he said, a lot of times, got this guy catch the ball and he's got all this speed and everything. But he said he just didn't know where he was going. Or you didn't know. The quarterback didn't know where he was going. You know what I mean? A lot of it's, now is, it was back then too. Don't get me wrong. But nowadays it's even more so. You got to know where to, And he said a lot of times you drop back the pass, and it's like, where the is Homer going? Well, that's not the route we call. So he didn't know how to run routes. And then of course you got Monty Toomer, right, who leads the Giants in all the categories, touchdown, receptions, yards, and all that stuff. And seems like every time we get a really good receiver, let's hope we can buck the trend here. Every time we get a brand new receiver, that's hot off the press, right? Whether it's the salsa man, Mr. OBJ, Mr. Three-Finger OBJ catch, right? Hakeem Nicks, whatever. Seems like as soon as we get somebody, really, really good, hard to believe they get injured and their Giant career is over, right? So hopefully Malik Nabers, right, can stay healthy, right? Wouldn't that be amazing, right? If he can stay healthy, he'll blow Toomer's out of the water, because, Toomer had, well, not in the beginning of his career, not necessarily, but, once it was in 99, I think that's when we got Collins, and then we got, Warner, right? And then obviously for, 9 games he played, and then of course Eli and all that. So Toomer had some good, competent quarterback play, right? Can't say that about Malik Nabers last year, right? But you got to look at it. If you took a picture of that, what I'm saying, going back to what I said about a minute or so ago before I went on this rampage, if you got OBJ and Malik Nabers. You basically have like the two without, like I said, Toomer's got the numbers for the time being, right? But the two basic, baddest mofos that we ever had at wide receiver be on the field at the same time. That would be pretty special. The thing is, with OBJ, sure he can still catch the ball, obviously. Don't really lose that. But, what's up, buddy? Wilfred. Will and Fred. What's up, buddy? But they brought him in last year too for a trial, and they didn't sign him. If they didn't bring him in last year, I don't know, about what they're going to do this year. Now, there's one article. I've seen a bunch of articles out there, but I'm sure he would be cheap. The thing is that you want to bring him in. I don't know what they think of these other receivers they have on the roster right now, of last year on the Dolphins, so that's what I'm saying. So, yeah. So, do they want to bring him in? As I said, it would be cool, but get some stands in the fact, OBJ's back, baby, where, but, if he couldn't get up with the and they got Hill running around out there, people pay attention, if he couldn't get open, I don't know. But apparently Malik Nabers speaks out on Giants. Odell Beckham Jr. reunion. Ooh. So apparently OBJ wants to play again in 2025. And if it's with the Giants, then OBJ return won't upset Malik Nabers. In fact, the sixth player taken in the 2025 draft. The 2024 draft. I don't know who the hell wrote this up here. Heavy on sports. I don't know who wrote this here, but the sixth player taken in the 2024 NFL draft sounds eager for the Giants to reunite with the former Offensive Rookie of the Year. The idea of Beckham having a second tour with the Giants gained traction after the veteran acknowledged a fan's plea to go back to the Giants during a charity event. Then shared pictures of he and his son outside MetLife Stadium. Yeah, I seen that one, according to Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports. Neighbors reacted positively to Beckham's impromptu visit to MetLife Stadium. The sixth player taken in the 2024 NFL Draft posted on Instagram, "We still got work to do." Now there's a picture here of OBJ and I guess his son. Odell Beckham Jr. posted an ode to the Giants in MetLife Stadium on Instagram, and Malik Nabers weighed in. "We still got work to do." While Nabers is excited about the possibility of playing alongside another LSU great, others are divided about Beckham suiting up for the Giants again. One reporter is more lukewarm about the Giants re-signing Beckham for anything more than just one day. A brief photo of the preface Beckham's retirement would be the most logical plan. Now, I would be all for that, man. If the dude wants to retire a Giant, bring the dude back. Absolutely. That's the least you can do. Absolutely. Man, that would be cool. In a post on X from Wednesday, June 25th, Stapleton explained, "I don't know if OBJ is done playing, but there's no question in my mind that when he officially decides to retire, he should do so with the Giants." Now, absolutely. Is that with the last hurrah or a minimum deal? Not sure of that. Is it a one-day contract to come back into the alumni fold? Seems to be the most logical reunion. When a post from Gotham Sports Guy called for the Giants to bring OBJ home 1 year minimum, who says no? Stapleton replied, "I think both sides say no to different aspects of the scenario." One person not saying no to Beckham rejoining the Giants is Benjamin. He's firmly in the camp of those who think the Giants should put OBJ onto the field. Benjamin's reasoning is based upon Beckham's remaining a fan favorite among contingents of Giants faithful for the spunky playmaking that made him an NFL phenom at the start of his career. And some added receiver depth couldn't hurt behind returning starters Neighbor and Darius Slayton. But I mean, also that, is he going to be any better than what they got out there now? I mean, they brought in a whole bunch of undrafted free agents, whole slew of them, but there are other compelling reasons why a return tour of OBJ is not a good idea for the Giants, nor does it make sense for Nabers. Giants don't need Malik Nabers' Odell Beckham Jr. partnership. Giants must safeguard Nabers' development, but signing Beckham wouldn't be the best way to look after the prized asset. OBJ has never been able to shake a reputation as something of a so-called diva, a wideout willing to speak out with his usage and be critical of his team's publicity. That's something the Giants retired of during Beckham's time in New York. It also is something that the team has already seen from Nabers, who called out play calling and toughness of his team after the defeat to the Buccaneers last season. Dealing with one outspoken receiver is enough, but the Giants have also had to hear natural deep threat Jalen Hyatt vent his displeasure. Hyatt mentally checked out at points last season after clashing with the coaching staff and upper management. Sounds like things are changing for the better with Hyatt bullish about a possible breakout season. His growing rapport with Wilson is another reason for the Giants should pass on Beckham, who is 32, has torn his left ACL twice, and hasn't made more than 35 catches, nor tallied 1,000 yards or more in the season since 2019. Hasn't had more than 35 catches in the season since 2019. I mean, that's a long freaking time. That is a long time. So, as I said, it would be, no depth at corner. We no depth at corner. Oh, okay. So I mean, there's other ways that they could probably, if they were going to bring somebody in. I'm sure they can bring in maybe some depth at corner. Right? But there's other ways they can spend their money. I mean, it certainly wouldn't cost a lot of money, that's for sure. But I mean, the thing is, it would be great for a fan favorite. Maybe put some butts in the stands and all that for the time. But is he any better than what they got? And of course his willingness to talk and all that stuff and everything. But if he does want to retire, and I don't know if he's going to retire this year, if somebody will pick him up, who knows? But if ever wants to retire, I think that would be pretty cool. Have him sign like a one day contract or whatever to retire a Giant. That would be pretty fantastic. I'd be all up for that because it was the Clay. Obviously his mouth and his antics and all that stuff, and then I guess Gettleman signed him to an extension, right, and all of that, but then parted ways with him. So it was what it is. What maybe could have been. It's a shame with his his antics, his injuries, and all that stuff and everything. It's a shame, but at least the guy did get himself a Super Bowl ring, although he couldn't even make it through a Super Bowl without getting injured. It was a shame. But if he wants to retire a Giant, that would be cool. That would really, really be cool. Same thing with Saquon. If he wants to come back, as long as he doesn't win too many Super Bowls with the Eagles, I would hate that, man. I would hate that. And I've seen this here. There's no supplemental draft this season. And the Giants really haven't dibbled and dabbled too much into any kind of supplemental draft over the years, right? But they really haven't not necessarily knocked out of the park with any supplemental draft picks that they've had. They did have one. I'm going to go over one that they had. It was the USFL supplemental draft. If I remember correctly, in this article, it was like a 3-round supplemental draft. And the Giants absolutely hit it out of the park. They picked a player from the USFL in the first round who was wound up being a Hall of Famer. Problem was he didn't want to play for New York. And the problem was he didn't play for New York. He played for Minnesota and then Denver. And his last season with Denver, shame he didn't play another season with Denver because they won back-to-back Super Bowls. He was only there, and he played up to 97, which was Denver's first Super Bowl. Denver won in 98 as well, too. And then John got on his horse, John Elway got his horse and rode off into the sunset. But Gary Zimmerman, the offensive lineman, the Giants drafted at a supplemental, USFL supplemental draft. Wound up having a fantastic career. It would have been fantastic for the Giants because he would have been on their offensive line for those two Super Bowls, right? We would have a long-term, fantastic offensive lineman, with something the Giants haven't. I mean, the Giants have not had since Roosevelt Brown, right? An offensive lineman going to the Hall of Fame since Roosevelt Brown, right? I can't remember. Brown played from, I think, 53 to 66, I think it was, or 65 was. But, the Giants absolutely hit it out of the park with that one. But he did not want to play in New York. So the Giants wound up trading him, and the Giants got some draft capital for him. But, it's a shame because the guy was a very good offensive lineman. Well, I think in this article, I think we've had a supplemental draft for at least a few years anyway. All right, so the NFL will not hold supplemental draft this year. The NFL hasn't held a supplemental draft since 2019. I think the Giants did partake in that one. NFL will not hold a supplemental draft, according to Dane Brugel of The Athletic. The NFL has informed its 32-member clubs that there will not be a supplemental draft held this summer. Supplemental draft last held in 2019 is for players whose college eligibility has changed since the deadline to enter the main draft, which is usually held in late April. When a team makes a pick in the supplemental draft, they forfeit that pick in the same round of the ensuing year's main draft. The supplemental draft was first introduced in 1977 and has seen a mix of successes and failures over the years. The most successful player to have been chosen in the supplemental draft was Vikings receiver Chris Carter, a Hall of Famer who was picked in 1990. Other notable supplemental draft picks include quarterback Bernie Kosar, chosen by the Browns out of Miami, Florida, linebacker Brian Bosworth, offensive tackle Mike Wall, receiver Josh Gordon, chosen by the Browns out of Baylor in 2012. Supplemental draft was typically conducted via email. Far cry from the 3-day spectacular the league puts on for the main draft. The Giants have chosen 3 players from the supplemental draft: quarterback Dave Brown, 1992, round 1. Tito Wooten, who wasn't too bad, didn't wind up being too bad, out of Northeast Louisiana, round 4 of the 1994 supplemental draft, and cornerback Sam Beal out of Western Michigan in the 2018. It was the 2018 draft. Okay, that was 2019. 2018 supplemental draft in round 3. Now, he was supposed to be a steal and all this stuff and everything, but it just didn't work out. To be fair, Brown had a long career. He wound up being obviously pretty much a backup, but I know he played well into the 21st century. His career was at least 10 years. Let's see. Dave Brown, quarterback. Let's see. Dave Brown. So nice lengthy career. But when you take the dude into something, you kind of hoping he'll be your franchise quarterback for quite some time. He played 10 years, 92 to 2001. First 6 were with the Giants, the last 4 with the Cardinals. So he had a 10-year career. Just the thing was, what do we got here? He threw 44 touchdowns and 58 interceptions, 54% completion percentage. So his his record was 26 wins and 34 losses. If you needed a backup quarterback, okay, yeah, all right. It's kind of must be those Duke quarterbacks like Dave Brown, Daniel Jones, from Duke, right? So, let's see here. Brown, whom the Giants hoped would succeed Phil Simms, was the last player selected in the supplemental draft to be chosen in the first round. Unfortunately, he didn't work out for the team, setting the Giants on an odyssey to find its next franchise quarterback until Kerry Collins came in to calm down the search for Eli Manning, until Eli Manning, was later drafted in 2004. Wooten was arguably the Giants' most successful supplemental draft pick. Wooten spent his entire 6-year career with the Giants, appearing in 83 games with 47 starts. The highlight of his career was 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns, one in 1995 and one in 1996. I said, and then what wound up happening was, it started, let's see here, 1977, okay? The first supplemental player ever taken was Al Hunter, a running back from Notre Dame, in the 4th round of supplemental draft, but he was suspended from the team for disciplinary reasons. Then in 78, they had a supplemental draft. 2 guys were taken. 1979, 1 guy was taken. 80, 2 guys were taken. So pretty 80, 81, 82, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. So pretty much, quite a few times in the 90s, the early 2000s. Yeah, all the way up to pretty much 2019. There's always, well, not every year, but most years from 77 to 2019, there has been a supplemental draft. And what they're talking about here, obviously, is the last one was taken by the Giants was Sam Beal. He was declared academically ineligible in college. So I guess that's what kind of screwed things up for him or whatever. But the Giants have only partaken 3 times in the supplemental draft, right? But I said, but they have had, where are we at here? That's it right here. Okay. The Giants in, I'm going to show it, 84, no. Whoops. All right. Yep. Bam. Okay. Where are we at here? Well, anyway, Gary Zimmerman. They want up taking him. Football League, 1983, Canadian Football. Oh, there we go. Okay. In 1984, the NFL held a supplemental draft for college seniors who had already signed with either the United States Football League, the USFL, or the Canadian Football League. On June 5th in New York City, the draft was completed in an attempt to head off a bidding war in its own ranks for USFL and CFL players. 3 players in this draft entered the Pro Football Hall of Fame: Steve Young, Gary Zimmerman, who the Giants drafted, and Reggie White. So, obviously there was really some really good players taken then, that's for sure. But unfortunately for the Giants, Gary Zimmerman never wanted to play for the Giants. He never did play for the Giants. So, he really would have been a nice addition to that offensive line, but it is what it is. But the Giants, with the supplemental draft, they said that, you saw in that article, since 77, Giants have only, picked 3 times in the supplemental draft. And to be honest with you, Beal, I don't even know how many games the guy even played for the Giants. Let's say, said Dave Brown, but you take the dude in the first round of the sub, you expecting him to be your quarterback in the field. Actually, you know what it wound up being? Dave Brown from Duke, right? Taken in the first round of the supplemental draft. Was here for 6 years, right? Same thing with Daniel Jones, right? 6 years. So from Duke, right? But I said, but when you take a quarterback in the first round of the supplemental draft, that's that way the Giants forfeited their 1993 first round pick, I believe it was. He just pretty much wound up being a backup. But let's see, we got here Sam Beal. I know he had some injuries. Let's see here. Sam Beal was the last guy that we took in 2018. Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Jesus Christ. He played in a total of 9 games for the Giants. 2020, he did not play. He opted out during the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, yeah, so we drafted a guy. I mean, it was just blind up. I mean, he was supposed to have been a really good pick. Supposed to have been a good pick, you know, especially by Gettleman. I was supposed to be pretty good, but let's see, professional career. Beal was selected by the Giants in the 3rd round of the 2018 supplemental draft. On July 25th, 2018, during training camp, Beal suffered a shoulder injury that would keep him out of his entire rookie season. So we brought him in 2018. Boom! Season's over with. Shoulder. He was placed on injury reserve 4 days later. Season over. Okay. On September 1st, 2019, Beal was placed on injury reserve once again with a hamstring injury. He was designated for return from injury reserve and began practicing on October 16, 2019. He was activated on November 5th. I know. So then he wound up playing at what I think was like 6 games or so that year, whatever it was. On August 5th, 2020, Beal announced he would opt out of the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So he opted out of the 2020 season. He got injured for his shoulder in the 2018 season, missed that whole season. So 4 seasons, he missed 2 total seasons out of 4. And then in the 2021 season, on November 9, 2021, Beal was waived from the active roster. On December 18, 2021, Beal was signed to the Giants practice squad. Beal was released 10 days later on December 28, 2021. But also, Beal also had some legal issues too. It's amazing, some of these guys. On June 11, 2021, Beal pleaded guilty to a pair of gun charges stemming back to a June 2020 arrest in Ohio in which he was pulled over and a concealed weapon was discovered. And he was also cited for marijuana possession and a traffic violation. The plea put him on probation through June of 2022. So, I mean, it's not, you know, it was supposed to be actually was supposed to have been a good pick. But with the injuries and all, it's just, once again, just another wasted pick. So he played 4 seasons, and he only played like 9 games in 4 seasons. He missed 2 total seasons. We wasted a 3rd round pick on the guy. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. A lot of times you kind of, some of the stuff you kind of scratch your head. It's like, you know, like we're taking Daniel Jones, or we Gettleman took Daniel Jones. Did they do their homework on these guys? You know what I mean? But Giants, though, announced their public training camp schedule. Now, obviously, this is always big because the seats are always free. I guess it's pretty much first come, first serve. Get the tickets while you can, or whatever it is. But so the public can come there and cheer on their players and all that stuff. Maybe get some autographs and all that stuff and everything. It's really a great time. Really, really great time. But so the Giants, where are we at here? Okay. All right. They announced their public training camp schedule. The Giants will hold 11 open practices to the public this summer. All right. Not bad. Not bad. The Giants announced that they will open 11 training camp practices this summer to the public. The first of which will be held on Wednesday, July 23rd. So now the rookies come in the 15th. A week later, on the 22nd, that's when everybody else got to show up. So the 23rd, July 23rd, will be the second day that everybody's been there. And the last is on Wednesday, August 13th, which is the date the Giants joint practice with the Jets at their East Rutherford facility. So you get that's not bad. You get to see a joint practice. Pretty good. Admission to the open practices is free, but fans must obtain a ticket for entry. As has been the case in the past, the team will hold autograph sessions with current alumni and players, a kids zone, and various other activities. Tickets may be obtained on the Giants.com website. So you got to get, they're free, but you got to get yourself a ticket. So we got, here are the open dates for all the practices. All right, we got Wednesday, July 23rd. Then you got Thursday. So you got basically 3 days in a row. You got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, July 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Then you got the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, and then I guess that maybe that might be off the 30th or whatever it is. Then they come back the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, and then the 4th, and then they have a little bit of a gap there. And then the last one is Wednesday, August 13th, the Jets joint practice. Starting times are scheduled to change. It says all practices are set to begin at 10 o'clock. Doesn't not necessarily going to mean that they will start, but, well, because they're all possibility of change, especially in the event of inclement weather. But, as of right now, everything's set to start at 10 o'clock in the morning. Practices will be moved indoors and will not be available for public viewing. For the most up-to-date information regarding the practice schedule, fans may call 201-935-8111, extension 1070. So, just in case there is, inclement weather, which is a possibility. It's a possibility. It's going to be moved indoors. If it wants to get moved indoors, then the fans can't come in then, and it is what it is. But, the thing is that, it's free. So it's, so if you're going to go and you can't because of inclement weather or whatever, you didn't lose any money unless you took a day off from work or something like that. Which then I guess I can understand. But I mean, it's always pretty cool because everybody always gets all fired up and everything like that. So it's a cool thing, really, really cool. And it's just the beginning of everything, right? Because you figure once the training camp's right, once that 13th, that's when the right around there, that's when the preseason games start. And guys, they're off and running, absolutely love it. All right, now the Giants, okay, according to this article anyway, they have 3 underrated players or 3 hidden gems on their roster. Now they kind of go, it's not all not all on offense, not guys on defense. They kind of, these 3 guys kind of spread out. But, I kind of, I don't know. They got hidden gems, I don't know. I kind of disagree a little bit with some of this here, but we'll have to wait and see how things pan out. Now, let's see here. All right. So where are we at here? There's a lot of ways you could have gone on this one here, right? Giants. New York Giants hidden gems, 3 secret superstars on the 2025 roster. It's not just that the 2024 Giants finished with a 3-14 record and were a team that was singularly unimpressive in just about every category that doesn't have something to do with the Dexter Lawrence. Now, these Giants have been pretty bad for a while now, with all different types of leadership up top. Since 2017, Big Blue has had the NFL's worst record. 40 wins, 91 losses. Wow. And if you take that 1 year out, the 2022, right, we would be at 31-84. Take that 1 year out. Since 2017, you take the 2022 season, and we're 31-84. Wow. You have to go back to the misbegotten Giants of the 70s when the team was shuffling from coach to coach and personnel guy to personnel guy in whipsaw fashion to find such a record of consistent disappointment. By the end of the 2024 season, team president, CEO, and co-owner John Mara had endured more than enough. We stunk this year, Mara said in January. It's my instinct and my strong belief that we are going to go in the right direction. It's hard for me to say that we're going in the right direction right now because we've been going backwards. Okay, but The three of the gems that they got here on this list here. Underrated veteran. An underrated veteran. I'd say this is a little, I got this. A veteran. Tyrone Tracy Jr. He's played 1 year, so I guess he's a veteran now. So, when it comes to secret superstars for the Giants who were on the roster last season, well, you have to look around a bit. One guy who caught my eye before Big Blue selected him in the 5th round of the 2024 draft was Purdue running back Tyrone Tracy. And if it wasn't because of what he did for the Boilermakers per se, though that was pretty nice. No, before he transferred to Purdue in 2022, Tracy was a receiver for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and he was responsible for explosive passing plays in the Kirk Ferentz's offense. If you watched Iowa's offense over the last decade, first, my condolences. Second, you know how rare explosive passing plays are. You got that right. Tracy's catches weren't of the swing and screen variety either. In 2019, 74% of his snaps came as an outside receiver. Tracy did his level best to bolster the Giants' run game while everyone was suffering through the inevitable post-Saquon, part right there. Gaining 839 yards and scoring 5 touchdowns on 192 carries, he forced 34 missed tackles and had 10 runs of 15 yards or more. All of that with the revolving offensive line. Because when he came in, and he started becoming a starter for the Giants was after their 5 or 6 games in the beginning of the season when they had the same guys in there week in and week out. Their best offensive line. That's when Thomas got hurt and the wheel fell off and it was all downhill after that. Right? That's when Tyrone came in there. And after that, that's when he became pretty much primarily the starter. He got 839 yards with the offense offensive line. Every week was a different configuration, right? And he added value as a receiver. Why not? With 284 yards and a touchdown on 38 catches. Last season, the Giants had a total of 14 explosive run plays. So if it wasn't for Tracy with the ball, it basically wasn't going to happen. So he had 10 of their 14 explosive run plays for 15 yards or more. At 6'1", 210 pounds, Tracy combines lateral agility and second-level speed with the power required to bowl through enemy defenders. He's also conversant with the idea of making big gains behind just about every blocking scheme, and doing so behind offensive lines that can't be problematic. I wouldn't say it's any different than last year, really. Tracy said in June of the value of experience in the NFL. The only difference is I've been here before. I know what's going to happen. I know training camp is coming up. I know I've got to prepare my body, prepare my mind, prepare my soul for what's going to happen during the season. But I'm still grinding, man. I'm still grinding. There's really no safe space in the NFL, in this league. Everyone's trying to take your spot. I'm grinding every day to make sure that the coaches can trust me and my teammates can trust me. Well, I mean, the one thing is that right? That man's going to want to get on the field. He ain't going to be happy sitting on the sideline. So we got. I don't want to say certainly don't want to say we got the best 2-headed monster in the league or not like that, but. Cam Scatterboo's going to want to get some snaps out there. He wants some contact. So Tracy better do what he can do all he can do, be all he can be, and everything like that. And hope that's enough because Cam's coming for him, right? But I tell you what, it'd be a nice, if they take Tracy off, right, then you have Cam in there, right, a little different runner, right. So, and the nice thing is when you got Cam coming in, right? If the Giants actually get a drive going, imagine that. It's a drive. Oh, right. The defense starting to get a little tired, a little hands on the hips, maybe with 5, 6, 7 play drive or whatever it is. Tracy comes out, comes in the field or something. Defense a little tired and stuff like that, right? Hand Cam the ball, right? He's much smaller, can get low to the ground, right? Good center balance, gravity, and all that. Keeps balance and everything. That'd be a nice change of pace. And let's not forget, Cam can catch the ball too. All right, then they said with these hidden gems, then they went to a gem of an underrated free agent signing. And this one I agree with here, all right? Because, when you go to free agent signings, you think about, obviously, Debo, you think about Holland. Those are a couple of the big ones for the Giants. I mean, obviously, Wilson, Winston, all that, yeah. But we're talking about Chauncey Golston here. Now, this one I like. I like their choice here. This is the good one. Because this guy, in not a ton of snaps last year, was very busy. He got himself quite a few sacks last year. So this when we have to wind up putting him on the field, but he's coming off the sideline and he's fresh, right? He's going to give you some production. So this is a good pick here. I like this. Giants did add 2 highly valuable free agents to their secondary, right, with a Debo and Holland. But neither of those guys are secret superstars. And I'm assuming that fans of the team already know how much they can improve a pass defense that ranked 30th in DVOA last season. I love all these stats. Yeah, they were 31st in PQRYASPY percentage last year. Okay, great. Yeah, that tells me a lot. Anyway. Goodness knows the team has allocated more than enough resources to the edge pressure group. But as much as we'll be talking about Burns, Kayvon, and Abdul Carter guys as the preseason progresses and when the regular season comes along, the addition of former Dallas Cowboys pass disruptor Chauncey Golston could add a little spice and a lot of glue to a defensive line rotation that already overstuffed from a talent. So don't underestimate Mr. Golston. Underestimate Mr. Golston. Got him for, I think, 3 years, $19 million, something like so, like $6.5 million a season. Don't know. 3 years we got him for too, so that's good. In 2024, 6'5", 268-pound Golston. Now he can be on the edge, or I can also slide him inside, but he's going to be a little light on the inside. But he's got some height, he's got some length to him. Golston enjoyed career highs in sacks with 7. I thought it was 6.5, but I hear they got 7 this article. Total pressures, 37. Tackles, 36, and stops with 30. And given his ability to get it done from multiple gaps, he lined up as a defensive tackle on 26% of his snaps last season. That's where the glue comes in. When you have a combination of specialized tone setters and versatile rotational players, that's when your crew becomes especially difficult to deal with because he's coming in, you don't know where he's going to go. You got Carter, you don't know where he's going to go. Right? Golston has a full array of moves to deal with enemy blockers as well, which could make the 3-year, $18 million contract. He signed with $12 million guaranteed. So I mean, this could be a real good pickup for the Giants. 3 years, right? So $12 million guaranteed, quite a bargain in the end. On the outside, he can skirt the edge, swipe hands away, and bring the bullish rush. Inside, he can double up on the power and shoot multiple lanes to create enemy losses. It's a mindset, Golston said in March, on his ability to displace guys outweigh him by 50 to 60 pounds. You get a chance to go on and move a man against his own will. You've got to do that. That's a mental thing. Also, you can't go to jail for it out there. That's a nice plus. You can get, there's things you can do out on the field that if you did it out and live, you might go to jail. So, as to his versatility, Golston had already looked as how he best fits in the potentially dominant line. He says with Burns is a speed guy, Golston said of the different characteristics. And this was a month and a half before Carter was drafted. I'm more of the bigger end guy and finesse power. Those usually go hand in hand. With that, I'm just doing my part. I'm just here to help in my part of the role. And with time together, like with the OTAs and training camp, I will see exactly how that works. That question will be answered in time. I tend to lean toward the underrated multi-gap lineman in my own evaluations because from Michael Bennett to Danico Autry, I've seen what they can do for our defense. Golston's could well be that guy for the 2025 Giants. Then they have the underrated draft pick. Now, this one's not bad. Not bad. Okay, all right. They got Darius Alexander. And I hope they're right. And he said, and speaking of that defensive line, before the dislocated elbow that cost him the last 5 games of the 2024 season, Dexter Lawrence was demolishing enemy offenses at a clip that had him in firm contention for the Defensive Player of the Year award. And from his positions on the field, very few were in the same universe. On snaps from 0 to 3 technique tackle, where Lawrence spent 97% of his snaps last season, he totaled 8 sacks and 34 pressures, despite the constant double teams that opened things up for everybody else around him, which is true. The pass rush obviously fell off when Lawrence wasn't on the field. New York's sack rate plummeted from 9.1% to 6.1%. And it was clear that the reinforcements among the interior defensive linemen in the room were needed. Thus, the selection of Toledo's Darius Alexander with the first pick in the 3rd round. With Toledo Rockets last season, Alexander totaled 4 sacks, 37 total pressures, 27 solo tackles, and 27 stops. This after putting up 7 sacks, 46 pressures, 19 solo tackles, and 23 stops for Rockets in 2023. During Senior Bowl week, no opposing blocker had answers to deal with Alexander consistently. Not even North Dakota State's Gray Zabel. I've heard they were raving about him there, who portrayed his own positive Senior Bowl performance into a first-round selection with the Seattle Seahawks. Alexander was throwing dudes around left and right. Oh man, I love it. They have a yeah, wow. They got a couple of videos. Jesus Christ. Wow. Yeah, got some. Yeah, I tell you what, he's got some light to him, boy, I'll tell you what. This wasn't a case of an average player making the most of 1 week either. Alexander's 2024 tape displayed everything you need to know about his potential. Darius Alexander, a 3 technique that we did a lot of work on, Shane said after the pick was made. He came in on a 30 visit as well, was down at the Senior Bowl, and just where we are, we felt we needed to add some youth to the defensive line, and this kid is just under 6'4", 315 pounds. 34-inch arms, nice size arms, and freaky athletic. Down at the Senior Bowl, he had a really good week. Defensive line coach Trey Patterson thinks the world of him, as does assistant defensive line coach Brian Cox. Getting a guy like this that can come in and develop with the depth that we have, again, a high ceiling for this player. So we're excited to add another player to our front 7. With all these moves made, Shane couldn't help but be a little giddy about those defensive fronts. So yeah, there's a lot of depth there. I'm excited about that, the group. Again, we've got to do a better job stopping the run this year. Yes, they do. You can bring in as many guys as you want. You can't stop the run. And I think we've helped that with some of the depth. If we can get to 3rd down, we've got a lot of options in terms of where guys can line up in terms of versatility. Chauncey has got some versatility. Darius has got some versatility. Obviously, with Carter, there's some versatile pieces in there that can move around, and that can be difficult for offenses. Absolutely. So, one thing I do like, right? And I got some guys that got some versatility in it. That's going to be one of the things. It's going to be a couple of things, right? Getting to 3rd down, okay, and where they can maybe hopefully kind of tee off right on the quarterback, right? But once you get to 3rd down, you got to get off the field. Got to get off the field. But only time will tell. We should have a good pass rush. Let's hope we can do better at stopping the run, right? But once again, only time will tell. Then I see this here. I mean, I don't know. Some people, I mean, who the heck was it? Brian Baldinger? Was it he the one that said, like, trade Russell, just go? I think he said cut Russell Wilson. Don't even let him start this year. Just cut Russell Wilson. Put Jackson Dart in there. So it'll be interesting to see. But I got a couple articles here that some of these guys kind of seem to think that, Jackson Dart's time with the Giants, the start with the Giants, might come sooner than possibly later. Well, we will have to wait and see. But, there's a good chance, he's going to get in there. Right? So we got Ian Rappaport here. Stunning Jackson Dart prediction for the Giants. You listen to everything Brian Daboll says, you get an understanding of how far along Jackson Dart is and where you think he's going to go. It's clearly a matter of when, not if, Jackson Dart gets on the field. The strategy behind the Giants quarterback signings in March remains sound. In signing Russell Wilson and Jameson Winston, the Giants, well before the draft, ensured that their quarterback play would be better than it was in 2024. Yep. When Daniel Jones and the offense crumbled together. And now comes first-round quarterback selection, Jackson Dart, and a long-term plan. Well, if he winds up, if he can wind up being the guy of the future, absolutely. So with Jackson and a long-term plan that might be accelerated sooner than many think. Is Dart a raw prospect to some, in line for a redshirt season? Maybe. The Giants surely don't want to risk stunting his growth by starting him early out of desperation. And again, they don't have to feel desperate with Wilson here. No. As the vet is almost certain to start the year with the first team. Indeed, he's got enough self-security that he's comfortable mentoring the kid who will eventually take his job. I always share, Wilson said, of working with the other quarterbacks. I'm a big believer in communication out loud. Here's what I'm thinking. You don't hold any information back from me. When you have tremendous confidence in yourself, you have no problem sharing with others. That's just what I've always believed. And what does Giants coach Brian Daboll believe? Well, listen to a recent report from our colleague Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, who makes a rather stunning prediction. You listen to everything Brian Daboll says, you get an understanding of how far along Jackson Dart is and where you think he's going to go. He said, it's clearly a matter of when, not if. In truth, we argue that there are ifs because we've never seen Dart do anything, which is true. But Rap Sheet's point is strong and sound, and Wilson knows Dart could push him for playing time at some point. I just think about having success today, Wilson said. That's always been my approach. I'm trying to be the best in the world. I think that for me, mentally, you have confidence in yourself and you have confidence in what you do, your process. I constantly stay the course and understand that if I'm the best me, I know how great that is. I always just stay within. I don't really think about outside. All right, so that's that. And then we got Adam Schefter. Hi, I'm Shefty. Adam Schefter reveals chance Jackson Dart could start for New York Giants. Dart continues turning heads in the Big Apple, making a name for himself alongside savvy veteran signal callers. Former Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart making a name for himself in the Big Apple after being selected by the Giants in the first round. Dart, who rewrote the record books during his time with the Rebels in Oxford, has quickly become a polarizing figure in New York with an opportunity to compete for playing time early. The coveted signal caller threw for over 4,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions during the 2024 season while leading Ole Miss to a 10-3 record, a win in the Gator Bowl, and a number 11 AP poll finish. Not too shabby. The Rebels also earned back-to-back 10-plus win seasons for the first time since 59 and 60. Now, we gotta slow the roll here a little bit. 1959 and 1960, they might have just played 10 games. All right, in 1959 and 60, they weren't playing 37 games like they are in college nowadays. You got, you got like a 12, 13 game schedule, and then you got the championship, then you got then you might have like playoff games and all, where you wind up playing 39 games in your college team. You know what I mean? So, 59-60 to get back-to-back 10-win seasons. That's freaking impressive. Don't get me wrong. They were 10-3 this past season, and for Ole Miss, that's really, really good. So I don't want to, throw any water on that at all. And I think it's very, very impressive. But compare a team from 59-60 where they might have just played 10 games compared to nowadays. Let's see. And they've had a winning percentage of 74.36 dating back to 2022 Dart's first season at Oxford. So basically, his first season, ever since he's been there, they won 3 out of every 4 games. Now he's transitioning well to life in the National Football League as he goes to his first offseason at the professional level. He's done excellent picking up information. It's really good to have Russ and Jameson. All the adjustments that take place with the calls, he's fit right in with those guys. He's smart. He's aggressive with football, which I like. Giants head coach Brian Daboll said Tuesday. The true test will be once we start with live hitting and preseason games, but he's progressed since he's been here to where he's made good improvement. Is this in there? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is, I think it's not a ball there. But the Giants should cut Russell Wilson and start Jackson Dart. You start your rookie and you go with the growing pains and you understand that you're not going to the playoffs right now, he said. That's what, not Baldinger. I can't remember what the guy was. But could Dart earn a starting spot for the Giants heading into the 2025-2026 season? ESPN's Adam Schefter weighed in on the buzz surrounding the former Ole Miss star. The Giants would like to be as patient as they can with their rookie quarterback, Schefter said on ESPN's Get Up and Go with Russell Wilson. But let's keep in mind that once before Brian Daboll and the Giants general manager Joe Schoen was in Buffalo, and the plan there was to be very patient with Josh Allen, and he was called on to start a lot sooner than anybody expected. Dart is behind savvy veteran caller Russell Wilson in New York, but it's no secret he's emerged as a player to keep tabs on. Now, we're not saying that Jackson Dart is Josh Allen. No, we're not. We're just saying that he can have a plan to go Russell Wilson, Schefter said, but plans sometimes change. Yep. That will depend on Russell Wilson, how well he plays, how much this team wins, and how patient this whole entire organization can be. Now, all eyes will be on this record-setting Rebel as he navigates his first offseason in New York with expectations rising from the rookie quarterback. Yeah, So, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting. I said the same thing was, you do have to be a little, careful. Because when guys come in, right, you sign guys and all that stuff, and you build the team and the training camp and all that stuff. And these guys want to win. You know what I mean? And you see, you got to be a little careful when you pull the plug on a season, right? Like they did back in 2004. They played 9 games. They had 7 games left in the season in 2004. The Giants were 5-4. Actually, they were 5-2 at one point. They lost 2 tough games. So they were 5-4, and they still in the playoff hunt, but they figured they were not going to a Super Bowl. Even if they got to the playoffs, they weren't quite as good as maybe as the elite, and they weren't going to go to a Super Bowl. So they figured, you know what? Pull the plug on the season. Let's get him in for the final, Eli in for the final 7 games of the season. Those reps will be, huge for him starting when we come back the next season, right? So they pulled the plug on the season. I mean, you had veteran players there. You had Michael Strahan's career coming down to an end. And halfway through the season, you know what, Michael? We're going to pull the plug on this season. We'll see you next year, brother. All right? We're not winning nothing this year. Michael wanted to win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And they pulled the plug on it. He only had 3 more seasons after that left. You know what I mean? So thankfully he got a Super Bowl. But so you got to be careful. when and where are you going to pull the plug? I mean, it's great to get Dart in there and get a lot of excitement going, all that. And those reps will be invaluable to him going forward, and he'll learn each game and all that. And hopefully his career will start taking off, and not this year, next year, will really start, hopefully, getting even better and better. We get him another weapon next season, right? Whether it's in free agency or in the draft, because we really could use another weapon. That'll help Dart out, right? Huge. That'd be huge. But, you got to be kind of careful, when you pull the plug on the season. So I mean, if the Giants are 3-7 after 10 games, and it's like, yeah, guys, all right, we got 7 games left to go. Yeah. If we go 4-3 out of the last 7, we'll be 7-10. We're still, so we're going to pull the plug on the season, So I mean, if it's something like that, I can see that. Right, a little way halfway through the season really seems like it's over 3-7, 3-8, or whatever like that. Yeah, I can see that, right? But but I mean, if Russell Wilson's doing good, if we're 4-5, somewhere around there, floating around 500, I don't know. Going to be interesting to see. Very, very interesting to see. Now this one, this is a good old Phil. Finally, the Morehead State, paying him back a little bit there, right? I don't even know. Not many phenomenal players have been coming out of Morehead State, entering the NFL, right? Especially Phil Simms had himself a heck of a career. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings, obviously, but the probably the best thing that ever happened to him was when he got injured in 1990 against the Buffalo Bills. Because to be fair, he was not the type of quarterback that was, the best quarterback that we had on the roster to take was Jeff Hostetler because of his mobility. Phil Simms was not mobile. 1990, the Giants went into San Francisco, Monday night game. We lost 7-3. Good defensive struggle. Now, the Giants, if they played their cards right, possibly could have won that game with a couple more field goals, but it's either here or there. But with Sim, we got 3 points. We went there later on in the championship game to San Francisco, right? And we scored 5 field goals. With Simms, we scored 1. Hostetler, we scored 5. Now, of course, it was a fake punt in there, but we scored more points with Jeff Hostetler because of his mobility. Same thing, when we played Buffalo, right? Buffalo, that's when Simms got hurt. Hostetler comes into the game. We still lost the game at home to Buffalo. But, his mobility really, really helped us out, and especially in the Super Bowl. We wound up scoring more points in the Super Bowl against Buffalo than we did at home against Buffalo when Phil Simms was in there. Right? So might have been the best thing that ever happened for the Giants that year when Simms got hurt. We put a mobile quarterback in there. But regardless, Phil Simms, had himself a heck of a career. And it's finally, he's getting paid back, rewarded, whatever you want to call it, from Morehead State. They're going to rename a football venue after him. Good for him. Morehead State to rename football venue after New York Giants 2-time Super Bowl champion. Morehead State is set to rename its football stadium to honor program alumni and Super Bowl champion quarterback Phil Simms. The university announced it will hold a dedication ceremony on October 18th to officially change the facility's name to Phil Simms Stadium. And the New York Giants legend will be in attendance during the homecoming weekend festivities. The Eagles' 10,000-seat home venue opened in 1964. Wow, it's 60 years old. Ooh. And is presently named Jane Stadium, honoring late Professor William LeGrand Jane. The historical naming will remain present when the university installs an honorary plaque inside the stadium entrance. Phil Simms has remained loyal to MSU throughout the years, said Morehead State Athletic Director Kelly Wells. He has given MSU his time, talent, and treasure to MSU since his days as a college athlete. He has visited Morehead during the summers to host summer camps for young athletes and encourage them to consider MSU. He has mentored MSU coaches and players throughout the years. Most notable, he has hosted numerous fundraising events and personally contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to support the football program. This recognition is most deserving and long overdue. Now, once again, this goes to show you. I mean, it's how things kind of changed, somewhat. Because I mean, you look like Josh Allen. He got taken right where he got his stats in college were not super duper spectacular. So I mean, stats in college are just not the be all end all. Oh my God, the guy completed 70% of his. Oh my God, he's a Hall of Famer. Oh my God, you got to draft this guy. No, sorry. Yeah, some people, it's amazing. I mean, when Haskins, God rest his soul, was going up again. There was the Haskins Daniel Jones debate. Haskins completed 999% of his passes at Ohio State. Daniel Jones completed 50% at Duke. Well, you don't go to Duke to play football. You go to Duke to play basketball. And at Ohio State, usually they have 39 first-round wide receivers come out in the draft every year. So you got to kind of look at, who's playing. I mean, and so a lot of people are arguing that Haskins should have been taken over Daniel Jones because Haskins completed like 70-something% of his passes. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones is completing barely like 50%. So they're looking at the stats. It's like, well, you take a 74% completion percentage over 50 anytime. What are you, stupid? No. You gotta look. A lot of body of work to look at and all that and everything, right? But just goes to show you, I mean, you look at Phil Simms' numbers. Oh my God, they were horrible, horrible. And the weird thing is that if the Giants did not, his numbers were straight up trash. We're going to go over them in a second. I mean, just horrible, more I'd say. And he was going to get picked well before Joe Montana, who got, I think it was the third round he got taken. Joe Montana, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. If you listen to Lawrence Taylor thinks, Joe Montana was the great, because he said Tom Brady wouldn't last a couple weeks back in the 80s. The amount he'd get hit, the way he'd get hit and all that, he wouldn't last. But if the Giants didn't draft Phil Simms, Bill Walsh of the 49ers was going to draft him. He was going to take Phil Simms over Joe Montana of the Notre Dame. And Joe Montana of Notre Dame won a national championship with Notre Dame, right? And he had some nice numbers. He had that it was the Cotton Bowl I think he had like a flu at halftime or something like that. Notre Dame was down by, what the hell we did now, like 34-13 or something, like going into like the last quarter, and they threw like 3 touchdowns, or they got 3 touchdowns in the final like 5, 6, 7 minutes of the game and won the game. What an unbelievable comeback. But I mean, Joe Montana's comeback victories in the Cotton Bowl. He's winning national championships. He's on Notre Dame. He's touchdowns, all this stuff and everything, right? And he went in the third round. Some guy from Morehead State, where we at here, he closed his career. He had 545 yards passing. He had 32 touchdowns. Does it have it here? Oh, there we go. All right, here we go. But Phil Simms finished his career at Morehead State with a 48.9% completion percentage, threw 32 touchdowns, and 45 interceptions. He had a 2-6-1 record in his 2-6-1 in his senior year. No bowl appearances in 4 years, and he got picked number 7 overall. Are you kidding me? Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why sometimes stats are a little misleading. Let's see. Morehead State Eagles ran a ball control offense, and Sims' numbers were unspectacular. In his senior season, he completed 92 of 173 passes for 53% completion percentage and had 6 touchdown passes and 11 interceptions. Senior season, 53% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had twice as many interceptions as he had touchdowns. And he got taken number 7 overall. And he was a pretty good quarterback. The Ohio Valley moved up to the new Division 1 AA in 78, but the Eagles went 2-6-1. They failed to make the postseason during his college career. Sims finished with 409 completions, 835 attempts, 48.9% completion percentage. He also totaled 32 touchdowns, 45 interceptions, and he had a school record 5,545 passing yards. Before the 79 draft, new San Francisco 49ers head coach Bill Walsh flew to Morehead State with assistant coach Sam Weitz to work out Sims. Walsh was so impressed that he planned to draft Sims in the 3rd round, preferring him over the quarterback they ultimately took, Joe Montana of Notre Dame. But the Giants decided to make Sims their first round selection, 7th overall, to the surprise of many. As Sims acknowledged, most people have never heard of me. When Sims' name was announced by Commissioner Pete Rozelle in front of the audience at the draft in New York, his selection was booed loudly by the Giant fans in attendance. Yep. But it just goes to show you, he was the 2nd quarterback taken. Jack Thompson of Washington State went to Cincinnati with the 3rd overall pick. So Sims was not happy about being a Giant either. All I was thinking was which teams I would rather play for, the Green Bay Packers, the Chiefs, the Chargers, or the 49ers. Nonetheless, he became popular with his teammates, who jokingly dubbed him Prince Valiant in his rookie training camp. But with a crappy team, Sims won his first 5 starts of his rookie year in 1979. He was 6-4 as a starter, threw for 1,743 yards, 13 touchdown passes, and was named the NFL All-Rookie Team. He was runner-up for Rookie of the Year behind future teammate Otis Anderson. Now, Otis Anderson had himself absolutely a fine rookie season. But let's see here. What ensued over the next 15 seasons was one of the all-time great careers by a Giant. Absolutely. You're a kid. Sims won 2 Super Bowls, earned a pair of Pro Bowl selections, and was the 1993 NFL Man of the Year. Giants, who retired his number 11 jersey and inducted him into the Ring of Honor, Sims remains the NFL rookie record holder for the highest completion percentage in a Super Bowl, 88%, and boasts the highest passer rating in a Super Bowl, 150.9. So Sims returned to Morehead State campus in 2015 to complete his education and receive the Bachelor of University Studies degree. The school also awarded him with an honorary doctorate of humane letters degree to recognize his lifetime of service to Morehead State. So that's really, really good. He certainly deserved it. Without question. Now, he really had a great career with the Giants. Now, if you go back in time, right, you look at like all of the great quarterbacks, especially a lot of them, obviously, that went to like the Hall of Fame, right? You look at one of the common threads, right? I mean, obviously, the quarterbacks that went to Hall of Fame were pretty good, right? But one of the common threads, right, especially throughout their career, right, is that I didn't look at every quarterback in the Hall of Fame and all that stuff, but a lot of them, right, for one way or the other, they also had greatness around them. They played with greatness, meaning I don't mean Phil Simms played with Lawrence Taylor. I'm saying, to raise their playing, their game, right? The quarterbacks. You look at a lot, whether it's on the offensive line, a running back, or a tight end, or a receiver, whatever. A lot of the quarterbacks that go into the Hall of Fame had Hall of Fame players that they were playing with on the offense. I said, well, there was a good offensive line. I said, you look at Terry Bradshaw, right? You had Mike Webster, the center, Franco Harris, running back, and he had two, Stallworth and Swan. So he had 4 Hall of Famers he's playing with, right? I said, you look at Bart Starr, right? I mean, he had Hall of Famers, right? Taylor, Horning, I mean, a couple of guys on the offensive line, right? So I'm not saying that. I said, look at Joe Namath, Don Maynard, Roger Staubach had, Joe Montana, right? Some guy, he was throwing the ball to some guy by the name of Jerry Rice. So a lot of these quarterbacks, right, that really did good, that are in the Hall of Fame and all of that, played with greatness, right? Help elevate everybody else, right? I mean, of course, Phil Simms, right? I mean, his Hall of Fame wide receivers he threw the ball to was no, there weren't any. But Mark Bavaro, the Hall of Fame tight end, that no, he's not in the Hall of Fame either. No, so Phil Simms didn't play with Hall of Fame tight ends either. No. But the running backs. I mean, it was just one after the other. I mean, it was the running back. I didn't play with Hall of Fame running backs either. But his offensive line, I mean, he had so many offensive linemen that are now in the Hall of Fame. No, he didn't have any of them either. He had none. Right? I mean, once again, I'm not saying he's Dan Marino, Joe Montana. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, he's Peyton. I'm not saying that. But you look at a lot of guys, right? I mean, Peyton Manning would be in the Hall of Fame regardless. But he had Marvin Harrison, right? I don't know, whoever else he's had in his career. Look, Tom Brady. He had a couple guys. He had Randy Moss. He had the Gronk. Gronk's going to go in the Hall of Fame. A lot of, Patrick Mahomes, got Kelsey. You look at a lot of these guys, a lot of these quarterbacks, okay, that are going into the Hall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame, throughout their career. Usually, I said, I haven't gone back and looked at everyone, so please forgive me, but usually what might be a good offensive line, a great running back, or somebody, they played with greatness, right? Phil Simms, I mean, as a team, they played great running game and all that, but I mean, what wide receivers did Phil Simms throw to? Do we have a Jerry Rice running around? No, you got to be kidding me. Hey, don't get me wrong. I love them all. And Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker, Callaway, all of those guys. I love them all. Absolutely love every one of them. But do we have a Hall of Famer? I don't even know if any of those guys even made a Pro Bowl. I don't. Hey. So Phil Simms really wasn't playing, with super spectacular talent on the offensive side, right? So, for what he did, right, it's not too bad. Not being a 7th overall pick overall. I mean, I said, not one Hall of Fame player I can think of. It was on the Giants for an extended period of time. Or the Giants tried to play by him, right? No, he did pretty good for himself, but, those college stats, sometimes they're a little misleading. They are a little misleading, right? I mean, those stats I just rattled off at Morehead State were unbelievably horrible. And the Giants still took him number 7 overall. Quarterback from Morehead State. Go figure. Now, the more I keep reading, boy, I'll tell you what, man, people are just raving, and the buzz is just going crazy about the Giants and their defensive line, what it could be. They're up there pretty high. I can't remember. Was it PFF? I think it was. Maybe had him like third overall behind the Eagles and the Steelers. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And we're young too. I don't think anybody's older than like 27 or something like that. I mean, young. Right? So, and also that too, is we got these guys, our defensive line, we got them for, under contract for a couple more years. So, we got Kayvon Felice this year. We picked up his fifth-year option. Hopefully, if you're going to pick up his fifth-year option, hopefully we're going to sign him to some type of extension. We got Bernsey for another 3 years. We just picked up Abdul Carter. We're going to have him for at least 5 years. So we got Alexander. Next thing you want to do next year in the draft, add somebody else. Just keep adding to it. Don't just sit on your laurels. We're good. We're good. No, keep adding to it. Keep adding to it. Right. But I mean, a lot of rave reviews about the Giants and their defensive line. PFF just confirmed what Giants fans have suspected about the 2025 defensive line. This defensive line is shaping up to be everything we've dreamed of. You can fault the Giants for all of their shortcomings in recent years, but one thing you can't do is blame their lack of success on the defensive line. Well, they better start stopping the run. Kayvon hasn't quite been everything as advertised. No, I'm a little disappointed with him, but is he somebody I'd still want on my team? Absolutely. Absolutely. Without question. Without question. Dexter Lawrence was playing at a Defensive Player of the Year level in 2024 before he got injured, which is true. Burns is just a straight-up dog. Love him. Love him. Brian Burns has proved to be a rock-solid addition to the team's pass rush. The D-line was clearly the strength of the team. Now this unit is destined to take another step forward. The Giants added one of the best edge rusher prospects to come out of the NFL draft in years with Abdul Carter. And Lawrence is healthy and ready to go. On Wednesday, Pro Football Focus, Zoltan Budaj, ranked every NFL defensive line, and the Giants came in at number 3. Not too shabby. Arguably, no team has done more in the NFL to strengthen its defensive line and pass rush over the past couple of seasons than the Giants. Budaj wrote on PFF. They drafted Kayvon and Abdul Carter with top 5 picks in 2022 and 2025, respectively, and also traded for former first-rounder Brian Burns. Now, let's not forget, we got 4 first-round picks on that defensive line when they're all in the right. Dexter, Burns. Burns got taken, I think, the pick before Dexter, I think it was. So we got 4 first-round picks on a defensive line. That's the way to really beef it up. It's 4 first-round picks. Let's see. The team's edge defender trio is complemented by perhaps the best nose tackle in the league, Dexter Lawrence. Although Lawrence's 2024 season was cut short due to injury, his 89.9 PFF overall grade still ranked 3rd among interior defenders. Clips from the Giants minicamp already showed how lethal this unit can be. Oh, yeah. Went on the field together. On one impressive play, Burns, Carter, and Thibodeau each dusted their blockers and met quarterback Russell Wilson in the backfield basically at the same time. I've seen that video. It's pretty scary. The Giants' defensive line could rise to the top in the NFL in 2025. So one of the biggest things will be who's next to Dexter, right? Do we get some good contribution from whoever's, like Alexander or Golston in there or Ledbetter, whoever's going to want it, or Nacho, right? And then also behind them, Ken Okereke, is he back and healthy? Because you got a back injury. They can be tricky, right? Ranking is the 3rd best unit in the NFL is nothing to scoff at, but it's easy to see a path where the Giants claim the number 1 defensive line title from PFF by the end of the season. Ooh. The only teams ranked ahead of the Giants on this list were the Steelers at number 1 and the Eagles at number 2. Both of these Pennsylvania teams have spectacular defensive line units in their own right. The Steelers have a fantastic combination of T.J. Watt and ageless Cam Hayward, Well, I mean, Hayward's been around for a long time. He's not going to be around much longer. Meanwhile, the Eagles have a well-balanced defensive line headlined by Jalen Carter that excels at getting pressure on four-man rushes. But the Giants' D-line might have the most upside of any unit in the league. Burns and Lawrence are already established Pro Bowlers in the primes of their NFL careers who could see their best seasons yet in 2025. Now, the addition of Carter will add unmatched speed and explosion to the pass rush. This also could be the boost Kayvon needs for a breakout season. And don't forget about Darius Alexander, a name that PFF failed to mention in the D-line rankings. The Toledo star was New York's third-round pick in the draft. Alexander possesses physicality and athletic traits, and it's already looking like Lawrence will finally get the sidekick he deserves on the interior defensive line. Well, don't forget about Leo the Lion, right? Leonard Williams, when he was here, those two guys were really, really good together. Unfortunately, just what the amount of money Leonard Williams wanted and was making, all that is just very difficult to keep him. So defensive coordinator Shane Bowen is going to have some fun with his top 5 players on the defensive line. And if Carter comes firing out of the gate as rookie and looks like one of the league's next premier pass rushers, the sky's the limit for the Giants defensive line in 2025. And we got NFL experts are buzzing about the Giants defensive line in 2025. The Giants are to have any chance of making a shocking playoff run in 2025, it'll be because the defensive line lives up to the lofty preseason expectations, more specifically the front 7. It's a group that has a chance to be truly elite this season, and Pro Football Focus agrees. Let's see. That's pretty much the same. While much has been made about the Giants signing Russell Wilson and drafting Jackson Dart in the first round of the 2025 draft, the heartbeat of this team is Lawrence and that trio of pass rushers that can etch their names in Giants lore this fall. So, it's pretty much everywhere you go. There's a lot of hype, right, about this defensive line. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Hopefully we can stay healthy. Hopefully, right? But one of the also big things that, it's nice getting the, maybe rushing a quarterback and getting the sacks and all that stuff. But, man, we need to stop the run. We need that, we got to be known for more than just a pass rush. We got to be a line that we can stop the run. Clog everything up and let like a Karake or whoever's back, the off-ball linebacker or whatever, set the edge, right? Like a Karake, McFadden, or if Carter's back there, whatever, to run around and make tackles, on the run game. But we can't get slashed and gashed like we have been. When we play Saquon Barkley, we gotta stuff him. Gotta stuff him this year. He can't be running wild because I'll tell you what, if they put him in that final game of the season last year when they played at Philly, I bet my life he would have had the all-time single season mark by halftime, without question. Right? The thing was, it would be a little misleading because he would have played in, I think, 17, because I think he played in every game. So if he played in the final game, he would have played in 17 games to get the record. Eric Dickerson did it in only 16 games. So. All right, and I've seen this here. 5 players who might be playing their final snaps for the Giants this season. Now, in this article there, they got 5, but there certainly could be more than 5, obviously. There's guys that, what do you want to say? Won't be back if they're free agents. They won't resign them, or their rookie deals are up, rookie contracts are up. Maybe may not bring them back. There's one guy in here they got on this list. Well, actually, 1 or 2 of them. I'm a little bit disappointed if they don't bring back, but we'll have to wind up waiting and see. All right, so we got this article here. All right, here we go. 5 players who may be playing their final downs with the Giants during the 2025 season. Giants are a team facing plenty of questions for the months ahead. New York has ample pressure to win, with head coach Brian Daboll's seat plenty warm in 2 disappointing seasons in a row. General manager Jerry Shane's seat hasn't cooled since the world got to see the terms of Saquon Barkley on HBO. Oh, my God, yeah. But who are the players who are joining them on the bubble in 2025? Here are 5 prominent Giant players on the expiring contracts in 2025 who may be playing the final games with the Giants this season. Well, first one, of course, yeah, Russell Wilson. Absolutely. I mean, that's almost a foregone conclusion. I mean, yeah, he may not even make it through the final. I mean, he may not make it through to the last game of the season. He might get pulled halfway through the season, but there's a real good chance this is his final season with the Giants. Wilson's contract in New York was a 1-year deal. The Giants subsequently traded up to acquire Jackson Dart, which leaves little doubt about the future of the position with the Giants. It's hard to image a world where Wilson, who's looking for opportunities to keep starting, is open to coming back with the Giants in the 2025 season. No, I highly doubt that. By the end of this year, Dart figures to be entrenched as the starter, meaning Wilson is all but certain to be one and done. Now, this one here this is a good possibility here, right? Especially when they drafted Fedoni and Theo Johnson. Then when they drafted Daniel Bellinger, you could certainly see where it's like, I'm not saying we had a Hall of Fame or an All-Pro, Pro Bowler, but like this guy, I'll tell you what, it was his rookie season. Then he got injured and he came back and so, well, all right, if he keeps building on what he was doing, he should be progressing a little bit better. Okay, he could be around for years, if not maybe the starting tight end, maybe the backup tight end. There's no reason why he couldn't. For some reason, he just hasn't been progressing. Bellinger saw, and some of it also he took a back seat per se when Waller, right, was here. Right, so you bring in Waller, of course, Waller is going to be tight end number 1. So Bellinger took a back seat there, that's for sure, right, for that 1 year. But you figure in his 3rd season, right, he should have, maybe beaten out Theo, but no, not so much. Theo beat him out until Theo wound up getting injured, right? Bellinger saw his hold on the tight end position in New York fade away in 2024 after starting 24 games and playing over 1,200 snaps across the first 2 seasons with the team in 2022 and 2023. Entering into the final year of his rookie contract, Bellinger will turn 25 years old in September. He's got plenty of football left in him. But his opportunities to do so in New York appear to be dwindling amid the ongoing emergence of Theo Johnson, a rookie from last season, plus the team's additions in the tight end room. They drafted rookie Thomas Fedoni and veteran Greg Dulcich. Now, I don't know about Dulcich, but I'll have to wait and see. Both are being added. Don't paint a favorable picture to Bellinger's outlook in a contract year. Let's not forget, we got Chris Manhertz as well, too. And you talk about Jermaine Illuminor. Now, we'll have to wait and see about that. Well, we will have to wait and see with Jermaine. But Illuminor is on a pretty incredible stretch. He started as many games for the Giants, 2024, 14 than he did in his first 5 NFL seasons combined. This is a late bloomer who is hitting his stride, and he's set to enter into a contract year with the Giants in 2025. Because I forget, right? We signed him for 2 years, $14 million. Obviously, last year was number 1. This year is number 2. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. It's after he finally emerged as a starter with the Raiders in 2022, right? So, he's getting a stride with the Raiders, right? But also not with the Raiders, but with the offensive line coordinator too that the Giants had now, right? So, and now of course that's one of the reasons why we got Greg Van Roten here too, right? The offensive line coach, Illuminor, Greg Van Roten, all came from the Raiders. Let's see. Illuminor played over 300 snaps at left tackle last season after starting the year at right tackle, showcasing positional versatility. Excuse me. He's played meaningful snaps inside a guard in his career, too. The cost of interior blockers and tackles alike are rising across the league, which begs the question of what kind of market Illuminor can find for himself as a position flexible starter with experience all over the line. If New York wants a more long-term answer, Illuminor is going to turn 31 in December. They may choose to go in a different direction after the season. If he turns 31, he still has a few years left in him. I'm bringing the guy back if he can. Then they talk about, I hope not. I would try to lock this guy up if he could for at least a few more years, Micah McFadden. McFadden has played a lot of football in 3 seasons with the Giants, including 28 starts and 30 appearances over the last 2 seasons. But he's now entering into a contract year in the 4th year of his rookie contract and may be looking to cash in amid his expanding role with the Giants defense. What we're going to be interested to see is his expanding role going to start getting diminished because now we got Abdul Carter there. Because when Abdul Carter goes like an off-ball linebacker, middle linebacker, whatever you want to call him, right, that means there's a good chance that Mr. McFadden might be coming off the field because you're going to keep a Karake on the field, so you have a Karake and a Carter. Right? It means no room for McFadden. Now, if we were going back in time 50 years when we actually had like a 4-3 or something like that, you got 4 defensive linemen, you got 3 linebackers, well, then you keep McFadden on the field. You could have a Karake, right? You could have McFadden, you could have Carter. You could have actually 3 linebackers on the field. Oh, my God. But not in today's NFL, right? New York is already paying Bobby Karake handsomely, and he's under contract through next season. Would New York pay McFadden market value as a starter, or would they stash the money and find a replacement to keep the second starting linebacker role on the team economically friendly? Don't know. Or they could also draft somebody too next year too, right? I would like to see they get somebody. If you're gonna get maybe like next season, all right. If you're going to like in the draft, we gotta wait and see what's going on with this offensive line. Do we need an offensive lineman? Right, we'll have to wait and see. But boy, we sure could use another weapon. Somebody, a real good weapon. Whether it's a great tight end or I hate to say a running back, but or a really good wide receiver. They said then in the second round, if you want to add to the defense, bolster the defense, get somebody on the second line, or if you're going to let McFadden go, maybe grab another linebacker because you gotta have that depth. Right? You don't want a huge drop off because if you got a Karake there and you got Carter as your middle linebackers, okay. Well, what if one of those guys gets hurt? One of those guys got to come off the field. Who's going to replace him? Is it going to be a huge drop off? If it is, you might want to get somebody in there. So I hope they can sign McFadden. I can't see where the guy's going to want like $10 million a year or something like that. Giants got some money to spend, not a ton, but they got some money to spend. But what they also do is in so much 2026, they got some money in 2026, but in 2027, they got a lot of money to spend. You figure Winston, Wilson, they'll be off the books. We got Dart on a rookie deal. We have like over $150 million, I think, projected to spend. So what you could do is if you're going to bring back like McFadden, sign him and get his salary down next season to a few $1 million. And if you want to, bump his salary up the next couple of years, we'll have the money. Same thing with the next guy I'm going to talk about here too. Just for some depth purposes, this guy here is not going to want a ton of money, right? But he'd be fantastic in the depth department. Let's hope the guy can stay healthy this year. Cordell Flott. Flott has played more snaps in 3 consecutive seasons since becoming a surprise top 100 draft choice by New York back in 2022. But New York appears to have big aspirations for a new-look secondary. Former first-rounder Deontay Banks is hoping to make a big leap, and New York paid up in free agency for Paulson Adebo to take the spot opposite him. Well, there might quite possibly be a battle for cornerback number 2. So let's not overlook that. Let's not just say, okay, well, Banks is over there. He's the guy. Well, he might be the guy for the time being, but, if Flott's got something to say about it, we'll have to wait and see. Right? So if Flott steps up and Flott does really good, if he for some reason winds up being the starter out there, it'd be interesting to see. The Giants hopefully want to try to bring him back. So that leaves Flott as a potential answer in the nickel, which he primarily played in 2023. But paying a nickel on top of paying an outside corner plus safety Javon Holland, that's a lot of coin to wrap into the secondary unless Flood accepts a role as a depth player and is willing to be paid accordingly. Well, I'll have to wait and see. But I mean, that's also the same thing too, right? Is that you think about, in this article, they didn't talk about, obviously, GVR, right? Quite possibly his last, because he's up there. He's 33 or 34 or so, right? But they didn't talk about Belton either, right? He right now, he would be, as far as I know, he would be safety number 3. Now, if you got 3 safeties out there, right, you're going to have Newman, you're going to have Holland, and you're going to have Belton. Belton's safety number 3. This is his last season on the contract, right? So I would want to bring him back as well, too, right? All that guy does is get around the ball. He makes things happen when he's on the field. So, and he's not going to be getting $10, $15 million a season, right? So if you can bring him back for a reasonable price, bring him back. I mean, his whole career's been here with the Giants. Why not bring him back? I mean, he's done it. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame or an All-Pro or nothing like that, but it's safety number 3. Oh yeah, I'd bring him back, no question. So, that's what I think. Of course, obviously, whatever I think and whatever the Giants thinks is usually 2 different things. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see. And then we got, finally, all right, here we go. My last thing of the night here. Okay, here we go. Come up. All right. Yay, came up. Now they got 4 players going to tight end U. Now, I think I really like this. This is a fantastic. It was a Greg Olson. I think it was the Skittle man and Kelsey. So Kittle, Kelsey, and Greg Olson, I think, started it. I don't know, maybe they're still doing it. It says in this article here. But, this is really a good. I like this. Yeah, just all tight ends learning off of each other. Very, very good. Very, very good. You got some time off. You got 4 or 5 weeks off. And you're bringing a bunch of tight ends all together, and they're there nothing but for the common good of each other. We're all helping each other out. That's fantastic. Absolutely, I love this idea. I mean, all the positions should be doing this, but I don't know how many do or whatever. But this is really good. I really like this, and it can do. I mean, if you're learning from Olsen, Kittle and Kelsey, I mean, that's gold. That's golden. Especially for the young guys that we got. Like, once again, Bellinger's been there before, but you got Theo Johnson and Fedoni. Oh, yeah. All right. So Tight End University kicks off. 4 Giants are attending. For the 5th consecutive year, current and former tight ends from across the NFL will gather in Nashville for Tight End University. The Giants will be well represented at this year's festivities with Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, Thomas Fedoni II, and Chris Manhertz all scheduled to attend. Of that group, Bellinger is returning for his 4th straight appearance at the Summit for Tight Ends. Founded in 2021 by NFL tight end George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Greg Olson. Tight End University was created to bring the tight end community together for an immersive 3-day 3 days. It states on the Tight End University website, over the course of this summit, the summit they call it, attendees are able to bond, collaborate with, and learn amongst their peers while participating in a variety of activities, including film study, on-field drills, recovery, rehabilitation, and more. In addition to current players, Tight End University also features several retired legends who provide attendees with the invaluable opportunity to learn from some of the best to ever play the game. Johnson is coming off a rookie season, which he caught only 29, but he was coming on, right? And of course, then he got injured, right? Let's see. As he registered 35-plus receiving yards in each of his last 5 games, including a season-high 5 receptions for 54 yards in his final outing. Now, he was coming on. Because you figure, I think after the first, it was after the first 3 games, I think he had 4 receptions, or after the first 4 games, I think he just had 3 receptions, something like that. He was like MIA. I'm like, did we draft this guy? Is he on the field? What's going on? But he really started coming on toward the end there. Now, he was on pace. I mean, at 12 games, right, he caught about 2.5 passes a game, right, which is nothing super spectacular. But his last 5 games or so, he really did well. His last 5 games, if you stretch those 5 games out over a 17-game schedule, he would have caught about 60 passes. So Bellinger finished with just 14 receptions for 125 yards in his 3rd season, while Manhurts added 3 receptions for 30 and a touchdown. The 9-year veteran served more as a blocking tight end in his 1st season with the Giants last year and performed well in that protection role. Yeah, that's what he's there for. So the Giants are going to keep 4 tight ends on this roster. Meanwhile, his final season in Nebraska, Fedoni, a 7th-round selection in this year's draft, set new personal high marks with 36 receptions, 373 yards across 13 games. The rookie finished with 6th highest athleticism score at this year's NFL Combine. 6th highest athleticism score at this year's Combine. 6th highest. Not over the court. I mean, he was the 6th highest. The Giants take the tight ends with RAS scores that are off the freaking charts. The tight ends that they take are very athletic. Very athletic. And the same thing with Darren Waller. Darren Waller, his RAS score was fantastic too. Let's see. According to Next Gen Stats, and is now several years removed from his consecutive ACL injuries. The tight end room is rounded out by veteran Greg Dulcich and undrafted rookie free agent Jermaine Terry II. So, yeah, it's gonna that's gonna do nothing but help the guys. They learn a lot there. And as I said, I mean, that's fantastic, especially for the young guys. I mean, anything you can learn from those guys is absolute gold. So I think it's going to really helpful for them. It's going to be interesting to see, very, very interesting to see, because, now with Fedoni, with Theo and Bellinger, obviously Theo is probably going to be, if he's back and healthy and all, he's probably going to be the starter. Who gets how much time between Bellinger and Fedoni, right? If we got Theo, keep getting a majority of snaps, and if Fedoni bumps Bellinger out of the way for like tight end number 2, I don't know if Bellinger's going to be around next year. I don't, Do you want to sign a, I don't know. You're going to sign a tight end to be a 3rd tight end. I mean, unless he signs for a real small amount. I don't know, but it is what it is. All right, guys, been 1 hour and almost 50 minutes. I've been shooting my mouth off for. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. If anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay, this once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah. Thank you.